Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Cabinet meeting, Broadland District Council, on the 12th of May 2022. This is an extraordinary council meeting, and I'd like to start by just introducing each of the portfolio holders. So my name is Sean Vincent. I'm leader of Broadland District Council, and I'd then like the deputy leaders to introduce herself. Next, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm Trudy Mancini Boyle, and I am the portfolio holder for finance.
Thank you.
I'm Jonathan Emsel. I'm the portfolio holder for transformation and organisational development.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Judy Leggett, and I'm the portfolio holder for environmental excellence.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Fran Wymark. I'm the portfolio holder for housing and wellbeing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Jo Cobblestone. I'm the portfolio holder for economic development. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a public meeting that's being live streamed on the council's YouTube channel. And to start off, we'll go to declarations of interest. So are there any declarations of interest to declare on tonight's agenda? No? Okay, that moves on then to apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, Chairman, the portfolio holder for planning.
Thank you. That would be Councillor Lawn, yeah? Yep. Okay, moves on to public speaking. I'm not aware of any public speaking. No? Okay. That moves us on to item 4, which is representations from non-cabinet members. I see we have a couple of non-cabinet members here tonight. So if you want to come in, if you indicate and it's an opportunity to do so, then I'll see if I can get you in on the conversation. So let me know. Overview and scrutiny. So good evening, Martin. You're the Vice Chair of Overview and Scrutiny.
I am indeed.
So good evening to see you tonight. And again, if there's anything you want to say, anything you want to say at this point, or do you want to do it as we go?
I'll wait as we go along.
Okay, thank you for that, Martin. Okay, so item 6 on the agenda on page 71 is the Service Improvement and Efficiency Committee. So Jonathan, over to you.
Yeah, they are just the minutes to receive for the Cabinet.
Okay, thank you. We'll receive those minutes. And that moves us on then to item 7, which is the substantial business for tonight. So the future office accommodation project appraisal and business case, starting at page 6. So Jonathan, I think you're taking us into this one.
As always, Broadland are leading the way in Norfolk. After securing an amazing new waste contract that improves the council's carbon footprint, we look to go further and update our council office, improving the council environmental commitments with a newer and greener building. Something that has been in the minds of councillors for many years is a new building. For over 10 years, a new building has been considered. The Conservative administration have always been very careful with taxpayers' money and residents trusting us to be financially sensible. These plans have always been on the back burner. We now have an opportunity to further the financial savings made by our collaboration project to house our one team in one building, saving running costs of the current 2 sites. A building that can reduce our carbon footprint by over 80%, with future improvements possible to show that we are a forward-thinking council and will be carbon neutral before other Norfolk councils. With the added bonus of not passing the costs on of the office move to residents. Working with our collaboration partners, South Norfolk, means we have the costs and can cover the costs with redevelopments of our current sites. This is a win for the council, a win for the environment, and a win for our residents. Our staff are the biggest asset we have. Our one team officers back the move to a new modern building as they come back to office working together. The new building will be an enjoyable and exciting place to work that gives us improved employment opportunities. With regard to redevelopment, this could open up a wonderful opportunity for a heritage project and help conserve an amazing historical asset in Broadland, with community facilities such as a museum and conference centre. Consider this: if we were in the Horizon building today, would we think of a change that would split the staff over 2 sites 14 miles apart, cost significant sums more per year, and increase our carbon footprint by over 80%? I wholeheartedly recommend this report to Cabinet. I would like to introduce 2 short videos to help set the scene. Thank you.
I still came into the office the whole time because we had to have a presence here.
Yeah.
However, I felt disconnected from a massive part on my team because 90% of them were working from home at any one point. Now we're all together and we've hopefully built something which they want to come and do.
Yeah.
They want to be part of because it's useful. It's just nice to talk to them. And work officious stuff can normally be done on Teams, but it's the non-officious stuff which is actually better to do in person.
It's meeting people, isn't it? And I think that because of the pandemic, there was quite a lot of people in our teams that we'd never met. And I think that they hadn't met each other, which I think was fine on Teams, but you don't get to build relationships as much. I think already people are getting to know each other more. And we'd like to do some sessions where people can kind of put faces to a name. A little bit of speed dating or something like that, because you may have actually been emailing someone that's been sitting over the way from you, just don't know what they look like. Pre-pandemic, we hadn't achieved bringing everyone together because there wasn't space and what have you. But now with the hybrid of working from home and working from the office, it means that we perhaps don't need quite as much space as we did before. So we're able to have this one space and people can kind of come and go, sit together and move around. We've moved housing upstairs and the police back upstairs so that we are now more of a hub. We'll have children's services back in here as well, if they're not already, and other partners. So it's getting back to, I suppose, what it used to be before. So people can have these kind of chance conversations, and although we would share information where it's necessary, actually, ideas and projects and stuff, I think, come up because people can just talk to each other.
The formal side of things was done throughout the pandemic. We did some great stuff, data sharing, but when you mention a resident's name and it's just an off chance comment, and then all of a sudden police say, oh, I know something that's happening with them, and then someone in children's services says, oh, well, I'm kind of working on them. All of a sudden we've got a multi-agency approach when there wasn't anything. It was just a load of people working in isolation.
Yeah.
That's where the hap works.
Yeah.
And that's why you need people in the office, because those off chance conversations don't happen so much when you're on the phone.
Of you will know me from my work within the economic growth team, and I apologise for not being with you in person this morning, but I am over at Carol Breck House delivering the Choices Unemployment Programme, and as it's only my second session with these new attendees, I felt I had to prioritise spending time with them this morning while they're still settling in and we're building that relationship, which will hopefully lead them back into work. So the reason I was going to have a chance to talk to you this morning is my connection with the Horizon building. So prior to collaboration, I was a long-standing Broadland member of staff, and I guess I'm able to give the perspective of somebody that has actually worked in the Horizon building. And I have to say, I'm really excited about the prospect of returning to that building. From a staff's perspective, it's light and airy, there's lots of space in there, and it's always felt a space where, despite the size, it was always cosy corners and lots of little offices, breakout rooms, and we had the team meeting rooms, training rooms, which is where I was, and it was just a really nice place and environment to work. I'm aware of thoughts around noise, and I have to say that I was there in the peak of it being a call centre with over 700 staff, and they worked shifts, and admittedly over the lunchtime when we had the changeover, there could be a little bit of noise, but I am also really good friends with the ex-facilities manager who looks after Horizon and Willow building, and I spoke to him about the noise, and he said that since he was in that building, he was unaware of complaints about the noise. In the early days, I think Aviva spent quite a bit of money setting up screening and sectioning off areas which would minimise the noise going across the floor. And I believe they installed various other equipment to actually minimise the noise. I'm equally aware of things being said about the rain, and again, I asked the next manager who's recently relocated from that building, and also I asked the facilities manager, and he said he never had one complaint about the rain. And my friend who was a manageress said, yes, in torrential rain and storms, you could hear the rain on the roof. So I guess that sort of weather doesn't happen very often, and are we going to base our decision on that building on whether it might rain a few times over the winter? I don't know. But having spent the last 2 years working from home, I'm sure many of us are aware of the other noise that happens around us. We've had children, we've had dogs barking, we've had deliveries to the door. So I don't know that noise from a staff's perspective would perhaps be a deal breaker. I think from our perspective, from staff, I've had the luxury of working at Thorpe Lodge, and things that concern us had always been parking. There were days when I wouldn't want to go out on my business visits because I knew I'd be carting brochures and various materials back up the Arms Road on my return because I couldn't get a parking space. And the temperature control. You were either freezing in the winter and sitting with a coat on, or you were boiling the bag in the summer when you were up in the planning department and it was boiling. I've equally now had the experience of working from the house because my directorate was relocated to Long Stratton, and that has very much the open plan type office, which I wasn't used to. And any of my colleagues would tell you that I'm quite loud, and I don't seem to have affected those working around me, and those with headsets on who are taking inbound calls. Again, I think it just comes to the point where you're too busy doing your own job, you don't actually notice what's going on around. But I do notice when I'm at the house, when it rains, my hair gets wet, and I have to make sure I don't fall over the many buckets that are littered around the building. So, going back to Horizon, I think it's a fantastic building. No matter the time of day when you're inside, it's lit so well, you almost feel that you are constantly outside. I think to have everybody back in one building would be amazing. We've all lost 2 years of our lives, not seeing loved ones and family, and I still feel that massive divide is there, that I don't get to work with many of my colleagues that I've spent years working with because we are located between the two sites. Car parking, there's a massive car park there, and again, there will be equal amounts of staff that would walk, cycle to work, and the bus route is really good, and we have the park and ride just across, so parking was never an issue when I was there. We've also got all the wonderful facilities around us with the Broadland Business Park and all of the amenities for people to have walks at lunchtime and go and get food. But I think the big thing really is us all being under one roof, and in order to get us all back together and continue this journey as the one team, we really do need the one building.
The report recommendations are on page 69, at the bottom of page 69. To make the following the Cabinet recommends to Council to agree to purchase the Horizon Centre either individually or jointly with South Norfolk, to share any future capital costs on an equal basis between Broadland Council and South Norfolk Council if jointly owned, share the revenue expenditure related to the Horizon Centre in accordance with the agreed appointment model in place for that financial year, share any net income from third-party occupancy or rental of the Horizon building on an equal basis between both Broadland Council and South Norfolk Council if jointly owned. The Cabinet agrees to establish a facilities management agreement between the two councils that incorporates the governance arrangements in relation to the Horizon Centre, this to be delegated to the leader in consultation with the Director of Resources. And finally, request officers to bring forward to the Cabinet meeting in August 2022 a feasibility study for the future options relating to the Council's current main office, Thorpe Lodge. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. Do we have a seconder, Trudy?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to second those recommendations, please, but I'd just like to reiterate something really. We've got to look here at the substantial revenue costs, savings in revenue costs, the long-term capital cost savings, and also if you think once we've moved into the horizon with all of those substantial savings, what difference that will make to council tax. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Trudy. Any other comments from Cabinet? Judy?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to sort of reiterate the green credentials of the Horizon building. I mean, firstly, due to the energy set up in that building, we will be protected from some of the rise in energy costs. We will not be impacted so much as if we had stayed in this building. If we have excess electricity, we can sell that to the grid. And moving to the Horizon building, most importantly, would result in an 84% reduction in our carbon footprint. And I think the time is right to do it.
Okay, thank you for that, Judy. Some good comments. Fran, did you want to?
Yeah. Excuse me. Thank you, Chairman. I thought it was very interesting watching the video from a member of staff there, or a number of members of staff, and talking about the importance of being under one roof, the importance of co-location with other professional services, so that we can actually do a better job for our residents. Obviously, Jane spoke about the Horizon building being light, airy and spacious and a nice environment to work in. That's obviously what we want for all of our staff. Obviously, from what she said, and I know we've all been here for a number of years in this building, this isn't the greatest building to work in. You know, it does have its challenges, like every building perhaps. But I just think that's something we need to take into account. And I just wanted to ask the portfolio holder, what have we done to gauge the feelings of the staff? You know, do we know what percentage of staff actually would like to move? I mean, is that something you can actually give me? But also, so I'll carry on, and then I'll take the answer if that's okay. But also just the location of the building. I think the location of the building is something we really need to think about. It's in Broadland. It's on the Broadland Northway. It's on the A47. It's easy access. I mean, this building is not easy to access for our residents. Surely that will be easier with the public transport links, cycleways, etc., etc. So I think, you know, on balance, I really believe it's the right thing to do now. Absolutely is the right thing to do, and it will benefit everybody, both staff and residents. So I'm very much in support of this. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Fran. Jonathan, did you want to?
Yeah,
Hopefully you got an answer.
I can assure Fran that we have been working hard with to find out the staff's view and everything like that. We did actually have the tours round the Horizon building for the staff to see, so they could get a picture in their head of what we were talking about. That was very successful. I always find myself talking to the staff when I'm in the building to find out what they feel, and there is that feeling. As we've had more staff come back to work, more and more have been saying how the change would be what they're really looking for. The staff surveys that go out show that, well, over 75% of the people that return the surveys are very comfortable and very keen to be in one building, and the Horizon building seems to be the one that they think is going to be working for them.
Sorry, Tim, I just wanted to say something else. I was actually talking to some staff today, and I actually asked them straight out, you know, about their thoughts about being in one building. And they were very clear with me that that's what they wanted to do. And that working across the two buildings was quite a challenge. You know, they're a long way apart. We know that. I mean, when we go down there for you know, from here down to South Norfolk House for a meeting, you know, you're wasting half an hour in the car each way. You know, it's got to be more efficient and beneficial for everybody. But yeah, say I just had the conversation literally this morning with some staff, 3 staff, and I did ask them straight out. So I won't name them, but they were very, very positive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Fran. I think the MD just wants to add something from the all-staff briefing he last did.
Chairman, thank you. If I could, as Head of Paid Service and Managing Director, just endorse the view from staff. Just to let members know, we have an all-staff briefing every month. On the last all-staff briefing, and I think probably because we had accommodation on the agenda for that meeting, we had 250 members of staff on the all-staff briefing, and we asked them about moving into a single location. And circa 80% of the people on the call said yes, please. The number that it was 2% who said not sure, don't want to, and the others were want to know more about it. There was a palpable sense of excitement about the opportunity for the one team to be working under the same roof. Because of that synergy that was referred to in the video, where you see colleagues from different teams and you actually start to really build the culture of the one team, which will absolutely accelerate our progress towards first-class customer service.
Thank you for that, Trevor. Joe, you wanted to come in?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you for what you said, Trevor. I think the COVID pandemic has been hugely difficult for staff. A lot of them have felt isolated, and going to hybrid working is a really positive thing, but there are huge benefits from them being in the office. And I think we could really tell that from Jane's video. I mean, she's a long-serving member of staff that's been in the economic development team a long time, and I really sort of trust in what she says. And the ability to be in the office and share ideas and opportunities to improve service for our residents is really key. And I think it will help them feel less isolated. And I think I read through the ONS report, and you said actually being in that building would really sort of put us up a gear and we would be an employer of choice. And I quite agree with that. At the end of the day, the Horizon building is a really iconic building on the Broadland Business Park, which has been described in the past by members of the Economic Development team as the largest urban extension in Europe. And I think that's something in Broadland we're hugely proud of. And there are benefits that Judy said about the carbon footprint, but something I would say as well, there is such good parking at the Broadland, at the Horizon building. And that's something, if we did build a new building, which would be ridiculously expensive, and who knows what the cost would finally be, would have very, very limited parking. Also, the Horizon building has electric charging points, and as a user of an electric car myself, I think that's a really positive thing, because we've all got to decarbonise very, very quickly. So, you know, it's ready made and it's less cost for us now. So I really endorse the move to the Horizon building, and thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you for that, Joe. Oh, sorry, Judy.
No, I just, as I'd mentioned about savings to council tax, etc. I wonder if we could just delve into that a bit more, if that's at all possible.
Okay, but I'll just need to exclude press and public first.
Right,
So
okay.
So I will move that the press and public be excluded from the meeting for the remaining items of business, because otherwise information which is exempt information by virtue of paragraph 3 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended by the Local Government Access to Information Variation Order 2006, would be disclosed to them.